By now, you've probably seen the headlines. Anthropic's scariest model yet, the AI that finished 2 months of work in a day, the US government just export controlled a chatbot. All of that is true, but almost none of the coverage actually explains what this model is, how it's structured, or why it got banned 3 days after launch. So that's what we're doing today. No hype, no countdown clock, just a clear, complete breakdown of Claude Fable 5, what it is, what it can do, what it can't, and why it's currently sitting in regulatory limbo. Start to finish. Let's get into it. Where Fable 5 came from. To understand Fable 5, you actually have to start 2 months earlier with a model called Mythos. In April 2026, Anthropic unveiled Mythos. Internally, the first model in what they now call the Mythos class, a tier sitting above their flagship Opus models. Mythos was never released publicly. It was restricted almost immediately to a small group of vetted partners under a program called Project Glasswing, focused on cybersecurity defense for organizations managing critical infrastructure. The reason for the lockdown was specific, not generic AI safety hand-waving. Mythos reportedly could identify thousands of zero-day vulnerabilities across every major operating system and every major web browser. A model that can find software vulnerabilities at that scale is dual use in the most literal sense. The same capability that lets a defender patch a system before attackers find the hole also lets an attacker find that hole first. So, for 2 months, Mythos existed as this almost mythical thing, talked about constantly, used by almost nobody outside a handful of partner organizations. Then, on June 9th, 2026, Anthropic made a move. They launched Claude Fable 5, describing it as a Mythos class model they had made safe for general use. Here's the detail that matters most, and the one most explainers skip. Fable 5 isn't a separate, smaller model. Fable 5 and Mythos 5 share the same underlying base model. The difference is entirely in what sits on top of it. Fable 5 ships with safety classifiers that detect high-risk queries, cybersecurity, biology, chemistry, and automatically reroute those specific requests to the older, less capable Claude Opus 4.8 instead of answering with Fable 5's full capability. Mythos 5, the unrestricted version, has no such classifier and remains limited to vetted Project Glasswing partners. So, when you use Fable 5, you are using the same raw model as Mythos, just with specific doors locked. What it can actually do? Let's go through the capabilities one at a time with the actual evidence behind each claim. Long horizon autonomous work. This is the headline capability. Run inside an agent harness like Cloud Code. Fable 5 can work continuously for days at a time, planning across multiple stages, delegating pieces of work to sub-agents, and checking its own output for errors along the way. The proof point everyone cites. In a Ruby codebase containing 50 million lines, Fable 5 completed a full migration in a single day, a task that would otherwise have taken a full engineering team more than 2 months by hand. Stripe, the payment processing company, confirmed this directly, stating Fable compressed roughly 5 months of engineering work into a matter of days. This matters because it's the thing every frontier lab has been chasing and mostly failing to deliver. Not can it write good code in one sitting, but can it sustain a coherent plan across thousands of steps without drifting? Self-verification. Fable 5 can write its own tests to check its code, implement designs with high fidelity, and use vision to compare its output against the original goal. In practice, that means less of the classic AI confidently produces broken code problem. It's built to catch its own mistakes before handing work back. Benchmark performance. Numbers, since this is the explained video. On swe-bench Pro, a benchmark of real, unseen software engineering tasks pulled from public GitHub repos, Fable 5 scored 80.3%, Claude Opus 4.8 scored 69.2%, GPT 5.5 scored 58.6%, Gemini 3.1 Pro scored 54.2%. That's roughly an 11-point jump over Anthropic's own previous flagship and a 20+ point gap over the top models from OpenAI and Google. Anthropic also says Fable 5 leads on frontier code, a benchmark of harder analytical and engineering tasks at medium reasoning effort. One pattern worth flagging because it's unusual. Anthropic states the longer and more complex a task gets, the larger Fable 5's lead over its other models becomes. Most models degrade on long tasks. They lose track of context, drift off the original goal. Fable 5 is reportedly doing the opposite, which is consistent with the long horizon agentic reliability framing Anthropic uses. A genuinely strange creative demo. Anthropic showcased a fluid simulation coded by Fable 5 where the visual motion is synchronized to the beat of a classical meets EDM remix that the model itself produced using code, despite never having heard music in any conventional sense. It's a small detail in the announcement, but it's a genuinely useful signal of cross-domain reasoning. Composing structure in one medium, audio, and translating it into a completely different medium, physics simulation, without a human bridging the two. Scientific research, arguably the most important capability nobody's talking about. This is the part of the announcement I think deserves far more attention than it's gotten. Anthropic's internal protein design experts say Mythos 5 accelerated parts of the drug design process by roughly 10 times. More specifically, in one case, Mythos 5, equipped with protein design and bioinformatics tools with no human assistance, matched or beat skilled human operators. Independently selecting binding sites, choosing and running the right design tools, and recovering on its own when something went wrong. 9 of 14 protein targets in this study produced strong drug candidates that Anthropic is now actively investigating. Read that again slowly. That's not AI assisted a scientist. That's an AI independently performing the full workflow a trained scientist would normally execute, end to end, with results good enough to pursue further. Who actually uses this quick rundown by audience, since this video is for a mixed crowd? Developers. The obvious case. Handing off massive legacy migrations and multi-day engineering projects that previously needed a full team. Enterprises. Teams can hand off large, complex projects and review the completed work rather than supervising every individual step. The supervision model shifts from watch every move to check the final deliverable. Researchers, the protein design example above is the clearest case. Independent execution of a multi-stage scientific workflow. Students and beginners. During the free access window, this was simply the most capable reasoning and research assistant available, bundled into an existing subscription at no extra cost. Content creators and knowledge workers. Long-form, multi-stage projects, research, drafting, structuring, revising, handled with far less hand-holding than previous models required. Why it got shut down? This is the part that actually makes this story unusual and worth a dedicated section. Anthropic initially gave Pro, Max, Team and Enterprise subscribers free access to Fable 5 from launch on June 9th through June 22nd. Essentially, a 2-week open trial of its most capable public model. The trial didn't last. On June 12th, 2026, just 3 days after launch, Anthropic asked AWS to revoke access to both Claude Fable 5 and Claude Mythos 5 for all users, citing compliance with a US government export control directive. Every other model, including Opus 4.8, was unaffected. Anthropic confirmed this directly. We are suspending access to Claude Fable 5 and Claude Mythos 5. We apologize for this disruption to our customers and are working to restore access as soon as possible. Export controls are normally a tool used for physical hardware, semiconductors, missile components, encryption technology with military applications. Applying that framework to a publicly released chat model is a meaningful first. It's a regulatory signal that a government, not just a lab's internal safety team, now considers a specific AI model's capabilities sensitive enough to restrict who can access it across borders. Given the cybersecurity backstory, a model in this family, allegedly capable of identifying thousands of zero-day vulnerabilities across every major OS and browser. The logic isn't hard to follow, even if the speed of the reversal is striking. How it compares? Briefly, since this is the question everyone actually wants answered, on coding benchmarks, Fable 5 leads clearly, 80.3% on SWE Bench Pro versus Opus 4.8's 69.2%, GPT 5.5's 58.6%, and Gemini 3.1 Pro's 54.2%. On sustained multi-day agentic work, Fable 5 is purpose-built for it via agent harnesses. GPT and Gemini remain primarily reactive, requiring more frequent human check-ins, and Grok hasn't made a comparable public claim in this category. On scientific and research workflows, the protein design results are currently the strongest documented case of an AI independently executing an entire research process, something none of the other major labs have published an equivalent to yet. Where Fable 5 currently loses is simple availability. The most capable publicly documented model right now is also, at this exact moment, the hardest one to actually get your hands on. What happens next? 2 realistic paths from here. If the suspension lifts and access is restored, the practical effect is that a single subscription starts functioning like an on-call engineering team or a research assistant, shifting the constraint on building software or running early-stage scientific work away from headcount and toward compute budget. If it doesn't lift quickly, we're watching the early formation of a new regulatory category. Frontier AI capability treated administratively like dual-use hardware, licensed, tracked and restricted across borders rather than sold freely. Either way, this is the clearest real-world example so far of AI capability moving faster than the legal frameworks built to handle it. So, that's Claude Fable 5, fully explained. A Mythos class model with the safety layer stripped back just enough to be publicly usable, capable of multi-day autonomous engineering work, independent scientific research, and benchmark scores well ahead of its closest competitors. Currently paused, not because the model failed, but because a government decided it worked too well. If you want me to keep tracking this story as access gets restored or restricted further? Let me know in the comments, and subscribe if you want the breakdown the moment that happens.